A lot of people come in asking me, what is probate? So probate is a court proceeding that we might have to file for someone who has passed away. For someone who dies without a will, we will have to file a probate if they have certain types of property. What some people don't realize is even with a will, we will probably have to probate that will and probate the estate. That's because the will doesn't actually transfer your property on death. Think about your home, for instance. You got that by way of a deed, not by way of a will, and your heirs can't take that will down to the Maricopa County Recorder and have that house transferred over to them. So what we do is we file what's called an informal probate, most often here in Phoenix, Arizona. The informal probate is very much part of what we do if there is a valid will. So if we have a proper will, one that appoints the personal representative, waives a bond for them, and properly distributes your property, we can file the informal probate. It's a much more streamlined probate than a formal probate. So with the informal probate, we put together certain documents for your personal representative to sign to apply with the court to be formally appointed. Your will says who it's going to be, but that isn't good enough for transferring your home or transferring your car. We actually have to have the court put its blessing on it and appoint them formally as the personal representative of your estate. So once your personal representative has signed all those documents that we put together in our office, we present those to the court and the court reviews them. So with an informal probate, your personal representative doesn't actually have to appear in court. That's a big advantage because most people are kind of intimidated and afraid of that. So if they're approved, which normally with the will, they will be approved, then we have a certified copy of the letters of personal representative. That's the formal appointment that your personal representative needs then to deal with all of your property, to hire a realtor to sell it, to hire an estate sale company to deal with your personal property, to transfer your car, and just to marshal your assets and make the distribution to your heirs. If you die without a will, it can be a lot more complicated. The problem is, for instance, if you're a parent and you're single, you have 3 children, all 3 of your children are able to serve as your personal representative. One doesn't have a higher priority than another. So now, in addition to having your personal representative have to sign things, we have to figure out who is that? Who of those 3 children is going to serve? And the other 2 have to sign something agreeing to step down, that they will agree that that other child will serve. That's fine if all your children get along together, but if there's any dispute about who's supposed to serve, it can really delay filing that informal probate. The other issue we have is the statutes require that a personal representative post a bond. So it's like a supersedious bond, like a construction company has to post, that kind of thing. It's the same thing. It's just guarantee that there's some payment for the heirs if the personal representative runs off with all the money. We also have to have the other 2 children in our scenario agree to waive bond. So there's a lot more paperwork ahead of time if everyone agrees. And if everybody doesn't agree, there can be a lot of delays and a lot of infighting before we ever get started. So it's always best to have a will. So a will doesn't transfer your property and we end up with informal probate. But there are some ways in Arizona that we can avoid probate. Those aren't always a good idea, but I'll tell you about them anyway. So with your home, what we do is we put together a beneficiary deed. That's something that you sign during your lifetime and say, here's who gets my home on my death. We actually file that or record that with the Maricopa County Recorder, and it becomes valid on your death. We also can do what we call transfer on death or payable on death designation for such things as bank accounts, stock brokerage accounts, and those kinds of things. They do the same thing. They say, on my death, this bank account should be payable to so-and-so. We can also, of course, 401ks are transferred by beneficiary designation, so they are not going to be probated as long as you have appropriate designations there. And the same with life insurance. As long as you have beneficiaries designated, then that will not have to go through probate. Here comes the problem. So back to our scenario of the parent with 3 children. If that house is transferred to all 3 children immediately on death, who's going to pay the electric bill? Who's going to keep the house running while we're in the process of selling it? And is one of them going to move in and tell the other 2 that, well, it's my house too, so now I'm going to live in it? There are a lot of problems with doing those probate avoidance methods. There's just so many chances for the family to have conflict and disputes because not everybody agrees about what should happen with that property. But because there's 3 people on the title, all 3 of them do need to agree. So that's one of the reasons that I really recommend the revocable living trust for most people who have the home and who have more than 1 child and have other property that they want to make sure gets distributed with a minimum of conflict and disputes to their children. So if you're interested in learning more, I offer my first consultation free of charge. Just give us a call or send us an email and we'll set up a time for you to come in.